Welcome and hello this Friday afternoon, May 7th. This is the CSUF History Department's annual awards reception and celebration. And since we can't be on campus, I thought I'd bring the campus a little bit to you with this video, which is not mine, but I took it nonetheless. I want to share with you a little bit how we are going to spend this hour today. First, I'm going to be saying a little bit something, not in my role as history professor or chair, but as a member of the committee that put this event together. And then we will hand out our awards, of which there are quite a few. We will have faculty and emeriti introduce the award and tell us a little bit about the person who inspired the award that the award is named after. Then you will get an introduction to the person who receives the award. Hopefully that person will be present and will be able to say hello to us. And then we will go through our awards in that manner. We will have a little bit something to say about faculty as well. And at the end, we will also hear from our chair, Dr. Jasmine Rostam-Kolai. So with that said, I just want to announce one technical matter, and that is, please make sure that your microphone is always switched off. That way we don't hear your other private conversations at home. And only switch it on when it's time for you to step on our virtual stage. And we have a very participatory event, so a lot of people will be speaking. So mics off and on, that's going to be an important part of making this a success. I first want to make sure that I jumped the gun there. I first want to make sure that I thank everybody for being here. I want to thank the emeriti for joining us this afternoon and giving us a chance to reconnect. I want to join all our faculty for being here and participating in this event that celebrates the students. I want to thank our Dean, Cheryl Fontaine, for being here and attending. And of course, I want to thank all the students who are here, not just those that are receiving awards today, but for those students who are here in solidarity and support and to celebrate their fellow students, which I think is a wonderful event and opportunity. So with that said, I want to first remind everyone who has not followed the department as closely in the last year of all the things we did despite our pandemic, despite our digital isolation. I think I can speak for the entire department when I say that we were remarkably active against the odds and saw a lot of really fascinating events take place on our screens, but nonetheless engaging and bringing us together. That began last fall with our Suffrage at 100 series, an event organized by my colleagues Natalie Fusakis, Margie Brown-Cornell, and Professor and Chair Jasmine Rostam. We had a digital history symposium by our colleague Jamila Moore-Peu, and we, of course, had, sadly, but nonetheless very importantly, the celebration of the life. I didn't think this would happen, of Dr. Nancy Fitch, who passed on November 15th, 2020. This came out of the blue, I apologize. Spring became all the more lively with our events in the department. We had a flurry of digital hosts and guests having conversations in front of students and the entire university. I can't read them all to you, but I just want to give you an impression of how lively our department has been in this past year, despite the forced isolation that we had to wrestle with. So not only did we stay engaged in the classrooms with our students digitally, but we also had a lot of other events going on that made sure that you, our friends, our emeriti, and our students all know that we are and stay a community beyond the classroom. And the events for spring are also not yet finished. There's more to come. Next week, we will have the History Undergraduate Student Conference from May 12th to 13th. And then on the 13th in the afternoon, there will be a digital history symposium and a keynote on radical mapping practices. Look out for invitations there from the, as ever so often, organizer, Dr. Jamila Peu. And finally, on June 11th, we will have the commencement. And I want to point out this will be a big day because we will have 175 history majors and MAs graduate this year. I think that's an impressive number and certainly worth celebrating. I want to also point out quickly some very, very fresh news about three of our colleagues. And we just found out, I know this is a day to celebrate the students, but we should say that we just learned that our colleague, Professor Jochen Burgdorf, has received the college's 2021 Distinguished Faculty Award. Our colleague, Aitana Guya, has received the Outstanding Teaching Award this year. And Jamila Peu, I apologize if I have mixed up your name before, has received the Outstanding Untenured Faculty Award. I think that deserves a round of applause. And with that, I will take us to our second round of applause, apparently. Our first award for our students. And here I will ask whether our faculty emeritus, Lee Ballot, is in the room. No. Okay. In that case, I will ask whether my colleague, Professor Dennehy, may introduce the Warren Beck Outstanding History Award. Outstanding History Student Award, I apologize.
Great, thank you, Volker, and great to see everybody. Wish we could all be in person, and I'm really pleased to be able to introduce this first award. I came to Fullerton in 2002, so I never actually met Warren Beck, but this is one of these awards that as a professor, it's very encouraging to know that these kinds of accomplishments are rewarded and to encourage students to apply for the Warren Beck Outstanding History Student Award every year. I did actually have Warren Beck's grandson in my Japanese history class one year, so the next or following generation was nice to be able to meet his legacy, and pleased to introduce this award this year.
With that, I move to the announcement of our winner today.
The Warren Beck Outstanding History Student Award goes to Andrew Estaras, a Filipino-American child of immigrants and member of the LGBTQ community. Andrew lives and breathes the diversity he rediscovered in his California history class. His community engagement is equally diverse, ranging from the John Wayne Cancer Society to the Women's March to volunteer work on behalf of undocumented students and international students. We recognize Andrew for his commitment to community engagement and a wider conversation about diversity in Southern California, present and past.
Thank you.
Andrew, congratulations.
Thank you.
Do you have anything to say to us today?
It's a really humbling experience, and it's also very overwhelming. I'm still on the journey of achieving my BA, so it's a lot to process, but I'm really grateful. Thank you.
You received some other good news today that you want to share, correct?
Oh yes, I got accepted for the McNair Scholars Program as well. So that's another journey for me in this academic journey.
Wonderful, fantastic. Thank you so much for being here, Andrew, and congratulations.
Thank you.
We will move on to the next award today, and that is...
We are happy to announce Lila Rodriguez as this year's Warren Beck Outstanding History Student. Lila receives this award for her tireless efforts on behalf of building a sense of community among history majors. The Determined to establish an all-inclusive club for history majors, Laila educated herself on club organization, took student leadership seminars, drafted bylaws, and successfully relaunched the History Student Organization, all in a time when the COVID pandemic threatened the sense of belonging for so many of our students. Laila's efforts have made a difference, and for this we thank her.
Laila, congratulations.
Thank you.
Laila, do you want to say anything to us here today?
I'm really just very grateful for this award. I just want to thank. I know that we're not in person and that it's a little bit of a different experience this year, but I really have a lot of people to thank, and that's a lot of the faculty members that are here, and just some of the people that I want to thank that kind of brought me first of all into history. I entered Cal State Fullerton as a psychology major, but one day I took an honors course with Dr. Granada, and she kind of just I took the honors course for the world civilizations 1500 plus course, and there was something about history that really spoke to me from there on, and I think that that passion kind of grew into a little bit more of that passion, and my passion for community engagement was really pivotal for me, and I'm really nervous right now because it's a huge honor, and I really want to thank everybody who was able to be a part of this journey, because it wasn't only even though my name is on the scholarship, it took a lot of people, it took a community to actually be able to do the things that I do, and I'm really happy to continue to engage people, especially through the History Student Association now this semester. But thank you so much, Dr. I'm so sorry, I'm freezing up right now because I'm a little bit nervous. But
That's
Dr.
okay.
Rostam, thank you so much, and thank you to all of the faculty who have supported me in this journey. It truly means a lot, especially with all of the difficulties that have happened during this pandemic. Every ounce of kindness that I've received has been really life-changing.
Thank you so much, Laila. Thank you for that heartfelt comment. I like that a lot. We are moving to our next award, and those will be awards from the Bakken Book Fund. And Professor Jochen Burgdorf is here to introduce the award.
Thank you. It is my pleasure to introduce the Gordon Morris Bakken Book Fund Award. For those who did not know him, Gordon Morris Bakken was born in 1943 in Madison, Wisconsin, and he remained a proud son of the Badger State throughout his life, and very fittingly received his bachelor's degree, his master's degree, his doctoral degree in history, and his law degree from the University of Wisconsin at Madison. Professor Bakken's 45-year career at Cal State Fullerton began in 1969. In addition to teaching multiple generations of students and serving on countless committees, Gordon Bakken authored, edited, and co-edited well over 20 books. It is therefore appropriate that this award has the name or the term book in it, because Gordon Bakken loved books. He was a regular at the Huntington Library. He had entire bibliographies memorized, and his personal library was extensive. This is no surprise, because Professor Bakken was a scholar of legal, constitutional, environmental, Western, military, women's, and then some history. And every student who ever took a class with Professor Bakken remembers just how much he loved books, because he assigned them by the truckload. And those students who completed his courses were considered Bakkenized. Some of Gordon Bakken's own books had marvelous titles, such as Women Who Kill Men or Invitation to an Execution. And the last manuscript that he was working on before his passing in 2014 was titled A Buck in the Truck, The Impact of Big Game Hunting on the American West. That too, of course, makes sense because he was an avid hunter. Of his many accolades, I want to name three. Gordon Bakken was a president of the National History Honor Society, Phi Alpha Theta. He was awarded the title of Distinguished Faculty Member by our College of Humanities and Social Sciences. And in 2009, he was gifted with the Western History Association's Award of Merit. It is my honor that I can introduce this award that is named after my late and great friend, Gordon Bakken.
Well said, Jochen. Thank you. We will now move to the recipients.
The first recipient of our Bakken Book Fund is Diego Armando Rojas. Stripped of his savings by pandemic-related joblessness, this award meets an immediate need for Diego. His conviction that history needs to be taught beyond the classroom, that it can direct us in times of political discord, and that he can make a contribution to a more peaceful future make Diego representative of so many of our majors. A first-generation college student, he understands his education as more than an individual asset, but as a responsibility.
Now, Diego cannot be with us today, but he left us a message.
The first recipient of our
No, that's not the one.
Hello, my name is Diego Rojas, and I'd like to express my extreme thanks and gratitude to the Bakken family for the Bakken Book Fund. As a first-generation university student and as well a history major, this really means a lot to me as a whole, especially with the whole debacle currently with the pandemic and everything.
Thank you, Diego. Now on to our next recipient.
This spring, the Bakken Book Award goes to Osvaldo Rubalcaba. Osvaldo impressed the committee with his resolve, one he shares with many of his peers in our major. I do not care how many nights I have to stay up and do extra work, he wrote in his application. I will graduate to achieve my goals. Osvaldo carries a full course load, works part-time, and assumes many responsibilities for his younger siblings. A hobby magician who teaches children, Osvaldo also donates his time to charities. For all this, he deserves our support.
Osvaldo, will you come to the virtual stage, please? Okay, Osvaldo is apparently not here. All right, in that case, we will move on to our next award. And that is the Carmen Delphine Bayati Memorial Scholarship. Our faculty emerita, Wendy Elliott, is here to introduce it.
The Carmen Delphine Bayati Memorial Scholarship was established for a former student named Carmen Delphine Bayati. She was born in California, right on the outskirts of Visalia, to a farming family. She went to private schools and married and lived her life for a while and decided that she wanted to come back to school. And so when she did, she entered Cal State Fullerton and continued her education. She did get sick during her schooling, but she just soldiered on, and she passed during her senior year. She had so many credits that the history department chair, who was Rick Miller at the time, gave her an honorary baccalaureate degree. And in appreciation for that, her husband, Katan Bayati, set up this scholarship. And the scholarship is set up precisely for returning students. That is, students who have dropped out of education somewhere along the line and come back and come to Cal State Fullerton to finish up and graduate.
Thank you so much, Wendy Elliott. Let's now hear from about our recipient this year.
This year's winner of the Carmen Delphine Bayati Memorial Scholarship is Marlon Sanchez. Marlon is a single parent who takes care of her school-aged daughter and son who lives with cerebral palsy. The pandemic has cut deep into her work hours. Like other returning students, she studies not despite of her children, but because of them. My children will not have to figure things out for the first time, she writes. They will have me as a mentor and example. We believe that years as a special education room parent, teacher's assistant, PTA member, and fundraiser for her son have made Marlon an example for many.
Marlon, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Hello, Marlon.
Wow. I'll be honest. This is the first time I to the insistence of Dr. Janssen, I applied and I applied again. It's the first time I actually get an award, and I can't say thank you enough. It really means a lot to me. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Hey,
It's been
clearly happens to all of us.
Thank you. Thank you to everyone. It really, my goal was to take this to 2 years, but apparently I did something and I'm going on a year and a half, and I will be graduating if everything goes well this summer. So thank you to everyone.
Thank you, Marlon. Thank you. Okay. Okay. We will now move on to our next series of awards that are provided by the Black family. And here to introduce the fellowship is our chair, Professor Jasmine Rostam Golai.
Hi, everyone. It's my pleasure to introduce the Black Family Fellowship, which is sponsored by Mr. Dan Black and his grandson, Dr. Carl Friels. Mr. Black is a graduate of Cal State Fullerton from the class of 1967. He has extended his generosity to various programs across campus, and his connection to history is his grandson, Carl Friels. Carl earned both his bachelor's and his master's in history at Cal State Fullerton, as well as earning his teaching credential in secondary education, and just last month completed his doctorate in education, also at Cal State Fullerton. So this is a real Titan family, and congratulations, Carl, on your doctorate. Now, the Black Family Fellowship is designed to support undergraduate and graduate student research and experiential learning, such as travel to a faraway archive, participation in conferences or workshops, and study abroad. When it became impossible for students to do these kinds of activities amid the pandemic, this fellowship became a lifeline for the awardees who could bank their funds for later research or study abroad travel and pay for essential books and tuition. And finally, since the fellowship's launch in fall 2018, the department has awarded over a dozen Black Family Fellowships. Thank you so much, Mr. Black and Dr. Friels.
Okay, now let's hear about the recipients.
We are pleased to announce that last fall, the History Department selected Robbie Renteria for the Black Family Fellowship. A Renaissance man, Robbie has both worked as a plumber and studied the soundscapes and visual cultures of minstrel singers of the Crusading era. A deep thinker who does not look for easy topics, Robbie has published in our Willabethan journal and demonstrated his talents as a researcher. As his mentor, Professor Burgdorf, puts it, Robbie is both an historian and a musicologist, a scholar and a performer, a team player. Above all, he is an interdisciplinary researcher. Congratulations, Robbie.
Robbie, I saw you in the audience earlier. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry.
Okay. All right.
Well, I just want to start with saying thank you to everybody. I feel like many of my colleagues have expressed just grateful and blessed. So this has been a really interesting reward, I think, for me, because I can identify with that family aspect, as my family is very supportive with this ambition. So it's been rewarding in that sense too. And I want to thank specifically Professor Rostam and Professor Bergter for writing me letters of recommendation. I would have not been able to achieve this fellowship without them. So thank you to everybody.
All right, thank you. Okay, we move on to the next recipient.
This past fall semester, Monique Garcia won the Black Family Fellowship. Monique has demonstrated her scholarly discipline and creative talent in several projects, always exploring the depth of human experiences. Her honors professor recalls her paper on her grandfather's service at Berlin's Checkpoint Charlie during the Cold War as truly one of the most unique and touching projects I have received from any student. We expect her to fulfill her mentor's prediction that she will one day be a great educator, researcher, and writer. The Black Family Fellowship will help her pave the way towards that goal.
Congratulations, Monique. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I just want to say thank you to Dr. Freeze and Mr. Black. It's such an honor to receive this fellowship. My ultimate goal is to become a professor, and honestly, all of the faculty here at Cal State Fullerton have served as an inspiration for me, and have really helped me. Like Dr. Bergtorf, Dr. Kia, Dr. Brown Cornell, Dr. Piwu, they've all been there for me, and there's so many more faculty that I just I know I've missed. But I just this fellowship is it's such an honor to receive it. I'm going to be going on to get my master's next year at Cal State Fullerton. So I'm just really grateful. And I just want to say thank you to my family as well, because I wouldn't have really been where I am today without their support. So
I think that's true for many of us. Thank you, Monique. Let's hear about our next recipient.
This spring, one of the Black Family Fellowships goes to Mireya Monroy. Mireya is a first-generation college student, a history and anthropology double major, and an active leader in our history student community, both in the Phi Alpha Theta Honor Society and the History Student Association. Mireya's research interests center on the public history of Middle Eastern immigrants to Mexico, a topic she hopes to pursue into a history MA. Apart from her research passion, her professors attest that you can count on Mireya's maturity to get things done, and done correctly.
Congratulations. Are you there, Mireya?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hello.
I just want to say thank you to everyone, and thank you specifically to Dr. Rostam, Dr. O'Connor, and Dr. Brown Cornell. All of you have made such a big impact on my education, because I never thought I would get to this point. So I just want to say thank you so much, and I'm so excited to start the MA program next semester. Sorry, I'm really nervous right now. So I'm just I'm super excited to begin that, because I really want to go into research and understanding more of the topic that I specifically want to go into. So it's honestly an honor to get this. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Mireya.
Last but not least, the History Department awards the Black Family Fellowship this spring to Melanie Vigil. Her professors praise her integrity, her exceptional interpersonal skills, and her outstanding writing skills. Plus, she can produce an annotated bibliography on the evolution of heresy in medieval Europe that is nothing but spectacular. Already accepted into the competitive immersive summer Latin language program at the University of Toronto, Melanie will continue with the master's program in public history with a focus on religious diversity in the Middle Ages.
Congratulations. Are you there, Melanie?
Yes, hi.
Hi there.
Thank you so much for the kind words. I don't even know what to say. I'm just really grateful for this opportunity. It has been such a hard journey, not because of the pandemic, just because I'm also a first-gen student, and I'm the first person in my family who's striving for an MA, and so this has been such a struggle, but yet a very rewarding experience. And ultimately, I really want to thank Dr. Bergtorf and Dr. Brown Cornell for writing these recommendation letters and for just cheering me on.
Wonderful. Thank you, Melanie. Okay, and that takes us to our next award, and that is the Lawrence B. de Graaf Outstanding Graduate Student Award. And here, to introduce it, I am pleased to say, is our faculty emeritus, Art Hansen.
In 1959, Larry de Graaf became a founding faculty member of Orange County State College. His specialty course offering in the history department was post-1945 U.S. history, but he also taught a variety of other courses at both the undergraduate and graduate levels. Having written his dissertation on the migration of African Americans to Los Angeles and following it up with an award-winning article on the same topic in the Pacific Historical Review, one of these courses was Black History. Because he had gained so much of his research documentation from oral history interviews, he was instrumental in launching the oral history program at Cal State Fullerton in 1968 and making its Black History Project a cornerstone. Years later, in 2001, he co-authored a University of Washington Press book entitled Seeking El Dorado, African Americans in California. In the 1970s, he became active in the burgeoning fields of oral and public history. A co-founder of the Southwest Oral History Association, he later received its Jim Mink Award as an outstanding practitioner. Furthermore, he was among a cadre of students who institutionalized public history nationwide into the college curriculum. In the 1980s, he directed the CSUF oral history program for a number of years. In that capacity, he focused his attention on making oral history an invaluable tool in public history projects. In addition, he represented the Cal State Oral History Program in its collaboration with leading counterpart programs at our state's universities and colleges in documenting through interviews the history of California government. Simultaneously, he worked with a Cal State Dominguez Hills historian to enact a similar project documenting the California State University systems history. Because Larry lived and made his living in Orange County, he reflected this identity in his scholarship. He co-edited the Journal of Orange County Studies, was recognized by the Orange County Historical Society for his work on Orange County history, wrote a book on his residential community entitled Early Placencia, and he continues to be an active member of Placencia Library's History Committee. With respect to our CSUF campus, Larry not only conducted in-depth oral history interviews with all of our past presidents through Milton Gordon, but also produced the 2009 volume, The Fullerton Way, to honor the university's 50th anniversary. I've always felt it somewhat ironic that Larry became a leading figure in both African American history and oral and public history. With respect to the first field, Larry grew up in Southern California's Glendale, an anti-Black sundown community. As regards the second field, oral and public history, Larry, like Joe Biden, was afflicted with a childhood speech impediment. Whereas Joe Biden became our country's president, at Cal State Fullerton, we now have on our campus an impressive oral and public history program that bears the name of Lawrence de Graaf, my close friend and esteemed colleague.
What a wonderful introduction. Thank you so much. Now let's hear about the recipient.
It is our honor to announce that this year's winner of the Lawrence B. de Graaf Outstanding Graduate Student Award is Emma Bianco. Emma began her graduate studies in the middle of the pandemic, which, as with so many of her peers, forced her to find new work. But Emma has also been an example of what it means to thrive and learn even under challenging circumstances in an entirely digital environment. She has a gift for absorbing and working with complex historical themes and ideas, assures us her professor in history and theory, and she proves it every week.
Congratulations, Emma.
Hello, sorry, I do not like hearing things like that about myself. It kind of freaks me out. But I would like to say first thank you to Dr. McLean and Dr. Psyches for writing my letter of recommendations, because I kept annoying them about it, so I apologize, but I really appreciate it. And I'd like to thank the whole history department, or graduate department specifically, because I was extremely nervous about starting a graduate program, because I think everyone tells you the horrors of being a graduate student and that you can't balance a job in your life and they demand so much from you. And I was just that doubt of I wouldn't be really good enough or my research wouldn't be interesting enough. But it's really heartening to know that the history department supports my research interests, because I'm sure the master's students here and also the faculty, you get really attached to your research topics. So I really appreciate having the support and people telling me that they are also interested in what I study and that they think it's something worth pursuing. So thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Emma. Okay, and now we move on to our next award, and this is the Hansen Fellowship in Oral and Public History. And here to return the favor is Faculty Emeritus Larry DeGraaf.
Say a few things about Art and then go on to our recipient. You are, Art, a personification of what a student can contribute to history. And the value of what you are receiving in your award is little compared to the value of the contributions that Art Hansen has made to this contribution and to the whole discipline of history. First of all, let me say something about his background. He came 6 years after I did in 1966 as a professor of cultural history. But it was rather interesting that within a very short time, he became very intrigued with the history of Japanese Americans, particularly during World War II, and that became his major passion. He became known for the oral interviews that he did because, like myself, in working with African American history, he found that publications did not fully represent all of the things that went on in Japanese American or in Black communities. Therefore, he began doing oral interviews and turned that into a career focus. And so from there, when he came to Cal State Fullerton, he set up what became the oral history program, along with one other colleague, Gary Shumway. And in a short time, this has become one of the leading oral history programs in the entire country. He also was very important in the development of oral history in broader areas. He helped set up the Southwest Oral History Association that expanded oral history into many campuses in the West, and was for a while the president of the National Oral History Association. Finally, Art also was a colleague of mine in pioneering the public history program at Cal State Fullerton. Finally, I would like to say that Art Hansen has integrated students into oral history very well, as the whole oral history program did. Students have conducted the majority of the interviews in oral history. They've done a great deal of the editing and publication of oral histories. They have made the oral history program at Cal State Fullerton a model for those in many parts of the country. Therefore, the recipient of this award has some big shoes to fill, but we very much hope that she can do it. I would now like to pass the torch over to the recipient of the DeGraaf Award.
Thank you so much for this good introduction. I will now share with you details on the recipient.
This year, the department is honored to award the Hansen Fellowship in Oral and Public History to Melanie Vigil. Melanie's interest in innovating public history displays on medieval history drives her research for a PhD program, a search that has put her in touch with a wider range of faculty and history departments. Her participation in this year's National Council of Public History Conference and the Medieval Academy of America Conference all speak to her commitment to a professional career in public history. The Hansen Fellowship will likely only be the first in a series of recognitions of her work.
Congratulations, Melanie.
Thank you. I don't even know what else to say. Yeah, just thank you. Yeah.
I think that captures it. Thank you. We are now moving on to our next award, and this is in honor and recognition of Nancy Fitch, the Nancy Fitch Women and Gender History Award. Here to introduce it is my colleague, Christine Dennehy.
Hi, it's really an honor to be able to introduce this award this year when Nancy can't be with us in person, but we all know that she's with us in spirit. And I was trying to identify some of the key contributions that Nancy has made, both to the department and to the historical profession in her stellar career. And the first, I think, is that she made space. She made space for junior faculty to be together when Aitana and Jamila were hired, deliberately, making space for them to have contact, to make space for a digital history lab on the fifth floor. She opened her home to make space, Christmas parties, to the extent that one of our faculty members couldn't make it to the Christmas party one year, and her daughter said, well, that's okay, you can just drop me off, and they had to go do something else. And so even the children had their own room and really felt included in these department festivities. She also gave voice, and she did this in a number of ways by reviewing NEH grants for digital history and giving voice to the applicants to get funding and to do innovative kinds of research. She gave voice to junior faculty, tenure track faculty. She was a member of the Women's Studies and Chicano Studies, DPC, the Department Personnel Committee, for years and years, and giving voice to those faculty who were up for promotion and for tenure. And finally, one of the real skills that Nancy had was she followed the money. And she served for many years on the PRBC committee, the Planning, Resource, and Budget Committee. So she knew where the money went in the university. She knew in the college what happened, among department chairs. She encouraged transparency in the college for chairs to be involved in the budget of humanities and social sciences in particular. And when you know where the money comes from, you know who's taking up space, you know who has a voice, and she was able to contribute to making room for new scholarship, for junior faculty, for giving voice to people. I think this award in women and gender history really speaks to allowing the next generation of history scholars to be able to give voice to people who maybe didn't leave written archival records, to be able to do innovative kinds of research. And so I'm really pleased that Nancy's with us in spirit, and congratulate this year's awardees.
Thank you, Christine.
This year, we are happy to declare Emma Bianco the winner of the Nancy Fitch Women and Gender History Award. Emma's research interests focus on women in Southern California conservatism since the 1970s. Her approach to her topic is self-reflective and honest, her questions highly relevant. Her first oral history project on local Republican responses to COVID-19 has already given us a good taste of her potential as a researcher and writer, with an eye on the way gender dynamics hide in plain sight in American history. Congratulations, Emma.
Congratulations, Emma, and I know how much you don't like this kind of attention, but there you are.
I just want to say, because I already talked, this award is really an honor, not just because of who Professor Fitch, she is someone I aspire to be, because I eventually would like to be a history professor, and not just what her research does, that she does highlight the history of those people that are silenced, or history is somewhat overlooked, but just what it takes to be a good teacher and a good professor and just a generally good person. So I'm just really honored and thankful I was chosen for this award. So thank you.
Thank you, Emma. We move on to our next award, which is the Ronald Rietveld Fellowship on the Era of Lincoln. Here to introduce it is my colleague, Benjamin Cathra.
Hello, everyone. This is one of the best days of the year, isn't it? It's great fun. I teach American Civil War, and believe me, I am well aware of who taught this course before me. If you wondered why the lectures were so detailed last fall, folks, you have to know what I have to live up to. For more than 50 years, Professor Emeritus Robert Doc Rietveld, as he was universally known, taught in the history department. His specialty was the age of Abraham Lincoln. As a young scholar of 14, Rietveld was already a dedicated Lincoln expert. He discovered a photograph of Lincoln in his casket in New York City from 1865, a photo thought to have been lost and the last known to have been taken. What young Rietveld was doing combing through the Nicolay and Hay papers is another story I don't have time to tell. The Iowa native went on to get his PhD from the University of Illinois in 1967, and not long afterward, he came to sunny California. For decades, Doc Rietveld captivated students with his lectures and scholarly reminiscences on Lincoln and the Civil War era. It seemed to many that Rietveld had known Lincoln. Well, he did know the last person to have seen Lincoln's remains, and he did know the son of Lincoln's gardener, the last person living who had known Lincoln. It's pretty close, and there are many more stories. We could tell them all day. Many of Doc's students went on to become professional historians themselves. He has an extraordinary legacy over more than 50 years of teaching at Cal State Fullerton. The Rietveld Award is made to support student research in the Lincoln era.
Thank you. And now let's hear about our recipient.
It is our pleasure to announce this year's recipient of the Ronald Rietveld Fellowship on the Era of Abraham Lincoln, Huen Jiang. Huen dove deep into the Civil War era and its continued place in American political life and geography with a public history project that mapped Confederate statues across the nation and interpreted them. This semester, Huen has moved his public history emphasis on this time period further west with an interpretive plan proposal for Pio Pico State Park. His interest in the era of Abraham Lincoln in a public history makes the best of what our program has to offer.
Congratulations. Are you there, Glenn? And I apologize, I tried to educate myself on how to pronounce your first name, and I'm not sure I was successful.
It's okay. You did the right thing. You did the right job. It's an honor to receive this awards, and also this is like the first time ever I received such kind of award. I'm gonna lose words, but I'll try my best. Thank you for all the professors who helped me throughout the way, and thank you for all my colleagues who've been very supportive. As like a first generation immigrants, and also as well, not really as a first generation university student, but it's really as a huge recognition for me to pursue my major as a history master students. And since like basically not all my family would recognize this as a really profoundly possible career in the future, but I appreciate this award, and I really do think I am really grateful for this opportunity, and to be able to, it serves like more of a mental milestone for me to like pursue to my further goal to be to dedicate it into to a history career. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. We have one more award to hand out. No, sorry, two. First, we turn to the Sima Scheinberg Jewish Studies Award. And my colleague Rob McLean is here to introduce the person that's behind this award.
Hi, everyone. I'm quite pleased to introduce this award on behalf of dear Cy, Uncle Cy, as I like to call him, and I'm glad to see some dear friends and family members here as well. If I were to try to describe Cy, it would be as the actual most interesting man in the world, because he had so many different interests. You know, when you look at photos on his wall, there's Cy jumping out of a plane, there's Cy flying a plane, there's Cy racing a car, there's Cy rock climbing. And so he was to me, one of the most interesting people I ever met. And we would often ride to go climbing together and discuss the wonderful benefits of the Buick V6 3800 engine, another thing we had in common. But if there was one word, I think a perfect word that would capture Cy, it's that he was a human. He was a mensch. He was a bit of a polymath in his interest. Not only did he teach South Asian history, but he also taught Jewish history. And another fond memory is going to Passover at his house and hearing the history. But more than that, when I hear the descriptions of our students, many of whom were from first generation college students, I'm reminded that Cy grew up in an orphanage in New York, and he became a history professor. And, you know, that is, he made a long journey, just as many of our students have made long journeys. And my only, if you want to call it a regret, is that the students who are here now never got to meet him, because he was a wonderful man. And I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
This year, the Seema Scheinberg Jewish Study Award, we are happy to share, goes to Andrea Mercado. The study of the Holocaust inspired Andrea's deeper interest in Jewish history, a field she approaches with lessons from her previous focus on Mexican American and indigenous Mexican history. As a part-time teacher in a childcare facility, Andrea is building up her portfolio in pedagogy while supporting herself. Her teachers have commended her for her dedication, hard work, sense of responsibility, and commitment to the career in teaching.
Congratulations, Andrea. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here, Professor. I just want to say I'm really grateful. I wasn't expecting this award. I'm extremely happy. I see a lot of current and past professors of mine here present, and I just want to say thank you to everybody for always encouraging my love for history. I'm so proud to be a part of this history community. I also went into college pursuing a different career path, but in the end, I chose history, just knowing that it's something that not a lot of people necessarily love, so I should definitely take advantage of that. So I'm really grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Andrea. Okay, now there's one more award to hand out, and this is something special because it comes not just from the Department of History. Here to introduce the Joris Mack Local History Scholarship is a member of the Victorian Society of Fullerton Arboretum, Christine Mall. She was here earlier. So.
I'm sorry. I thought
there you are.
Let's start again. Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting me so that I can give you a little background on the Joris Magg Local History Scholarship. Joris Magg regrets that she's unable to be here today. I'm sure that many of you have walked through the Arboretum and admired Heritage House, the little Victorian home that was built by Dr. George Cook Clark back in 1894 as a wedding gift for his new wife, Edith. This home previously sat on Lemon Street in downtown Fullerton and was going to be torn down in 1972 so that the street could be widened. Fortunately for us, Joris and her friend, Molly McClanahan, began a campaign to save and restore the house. Joris had grown up in Redlands, where there are many historic homes, and this instilled in her a love and appreciation for local history. With the help and financial support of several groups who came on board, the Dr. Clark House was moved overnight to land set aside for the new Arboretum. Over the next 4 years, Joris was very involved with coordinating the total restoration and furnishing of the home, and it was finally opened up for public tours in 1976. The need for docents to teach visitors about Dr. Clark and Victorian life in the doctor's home led to the creation of the Victorian Society. Since that time, almost 50 years later, Joris has continued to lead and participate in many events as a founding member of the Victorian Society, and she is also a past president of the Friends of the Arboretum. The Local History Scholarship was created by the Friends of the Arboretum to honor Joris for her many years of outstanding and dedicated service. Thank you.
It is an honor to announce the final winner of this year's Student Awards. For the Joris Maak Local History Scholarship, the Friends of the Arboretum have chosen Lila Rodriguez. Lila's local historical interests focus on redlining and residential discriminatory practices in Orange County and Los Angeles. To this, she brings a professional discipline and maturity she has demonstrated in various settings in our program, especially the History Student Association, which she relaunched and is managed with diligence and hard work. Praised for being collaborative and consultative by her professors, we see Lila as the perfect fit for institutions of local history.
Congratulations again, Lila. You still with us?
Yes, hi, thank you. What an honor. Thank you once again to the donors for their generosity for this scholarship. I think that this one is really special to me because especially not only because I'm a first generation student, but also because I'm a Southern California native. And I'm very passionate about, continuing to learn about and give voice to the community, and specifically through redlining. I think that this is only going to be the beginning of my career and my involvement in continuing to do community outreach within and research within Orange County. So I'm really thrilled, and thank you very much once again to the donors and Dr. Rostam again and Marcella from the Career Center for writing my letter of recommendation.
Thank you, Lila. Now that completes the awards for students, but if the award winners' comments are anything to go by, the faculty in our department are not all bad either. So there are 2 awards that go to faculty. And the first one is the James Woodward Faculty Achievement Award. And Faculty Emeritus Lee Bellott would introduce it if he were available today. He was detained, and so I'm asking my colleague Christine Dennehy to step in on his behalf.
Thanks. This is great to be able. We miss Lee very much and wish he could be here with us, but I'm really pleased to be able to introduce this award that Jim Woodward has funded. And I'll never forget actually having a conversation in the hallway or out in the, by Aloha Java Coffee. I used to see Jim walking back and forth from the physics department. And I remember him talking about the reason he funded this award, and specifically for a publication, not research in progress, but something that was out there, something that you could put on your CV, and really just such a role model for all of us who do a lot of teaching and spend a lot of time doing committee work and other things. But scholarship is really the heart of it, and what your scholarship brings to your teaching and what your scholarship brings to you as a member of the university committee. So thank you, Jim, for this award.
Thank you, Christine. Now, I want to ask my colleagues to forgive me for letting my guard down a little bit and making a less fanciful introduction. The recipients of the Woodward Award this year are Dr. Peu and Dr. Burgdorf. Dr. Peu's article, Digital Reconnaissance, Relocating Dark Spots on a Map, exemplifies the pioneering work being done in the field of digital humanities. Her study shows how the use of digital technology can uncover and recover spaces in the Black Atlantic that have been overlooked or marginalized in past narratives. An applause, please, for our colleague. The second award goes to Jochen Burgdorf. Dr. Burgdorf's article, Experiments in Coexistence, the Religious Military Orders and Condominia in Northern Syria, 1260 to 1291, compares truce agreements between the Mamluks and the Hospitallers. It makes an important contribution to the study of territoriality and the history of the religious military orders in the late 13th century. An applause for Dr. Burgdorf as well, please. And that takes us to our final last award for the day. And let me ask whether Mr. James Woodward is here to introduce the Leland and Marlita Ballard Research Fellowship.
Yes, thank you, Volker. My introduction for Lee and Marlita is going to be informal too, as Christine's for me was. I met Lee shortly after arriving at Fullerton many years ago now. They're nearly 50. And we quickly became friends. We were both part of an operation called Clio Cartage, which is a faculty organization that moved people around from home to home. Back in the early and mid 70s, people were still moving around fairly frequently and so on. And a number of us were involved in helping get from one place to another. Indeed, Arthur Hansen, I remember distinctly as a member of this group, for example, and Larry too. Suffice it to say that Leland's view on what was really most needed in the profession came from him spending a stint of a number of years as Dean of HSS. As Dean of HSS, he, of course, acted upon all personnel actions in the school, and scholarship has been a part of the Fullerton way since long before I came in 1972. Indeed, the founders of the university, Larry, the founding faculty member in the history department, and others made it clear that even though the statewide expectations in the area of scholarship were, how should I put it, not as stringent at other CSU campuses, some of them anyway, as they were at Fullerton, that scholarship was really an important part of being a professor, and that it was really an important part of that teaching relationship that you have with faculty. If you're an ongoing scholar, you have a relationship with faculty and with students that conveys a sense of the profession that is missed if you don't have ongoing scholarship. His perception, having been dean, was that the weak link in the business of fostering scholarship as an important and integral part of being a member of the faculty of a university was in funding initial research. And so when Lee retired, more or less around the same time I did, that is to say 15 years ago or so, he and Marlita decided to set up a endowment that would proceed to produce a modest amount of money which could be allocated in support of faculty research, especially in early years. My experience was a little different, as Christine did not mention. I was chair of the department for a number of years, and my perception was that while scholarship was a big deal and all that, and it was an essential part of any successful personnel action, that it was not rewarded in the same way, especially in, well, my experiences in the sciences as well as in history. In the sciences, people are rewarded for getting grants. And in the social sciences, they are too, but they aren't, that isn't quite so important. The availability of grants is not as great as it is in the sciences. My experience was that people would get rewarded for getting grants, but nobody ever bothered to check up and see whether or not they actually did anything with it, at least until the next grant cycle and so on. So my view was that people should be rewarded for actually getting something done, hence the awards that you just witnessed, well-deserved, I might add. Lee and Marlita wanted to see it go to faculty research initiation. And so that is the setup that they have awarded. It's set up in the first award, as I understand it, is forthcoming shortly. And it is really a pleasure to say that it's bookending, I guess is the way you would put it, what he and I did. And it gives me great pleasure to say that Lee has been a friend for many, many years, and as has Larry and Arthur and Wendy and a number of you. And it's really great to see you all. And I am delighted to present Lee's endowment for this award.
Thank you, Jim, and also to all the other emeriti who joined us today and made these wonderful introductions. Now to our recipients, and this is our colleague, Kate Burlingham. Dr. Burlingham's project takes a transnational approach to the study of Angola's independence movements by exploring how American racial thinking informed African revolutionary thought. Her work weaves American race history into the story of Angolan independence and U.S. relations with countries in Africa. Please, everybody, an applause for Dr. Burlingham. This completes our awards, and I want to thank my colleagues, Natalie Fusakis and Nigel Sun, for putting this together. I'm now handing this over to our chair, Dr. Rostam Kolayi, for closing remarks.
So in closing, I'll try to keep my comments brief, but there are many people who made this awards and this celebration possible today. I want to first thank the department's development committee who ran this awards season, who selected our student honorees, who organized this impressive and interactive event, and the History Faculty Awards Committee who chose our faculty recipients, the HNSS Dean's Office who assist us year-round and always. I want to also extend our gratitude to our donors for their ongoing and meaningful support. You saw today that your support will help jumpstart research projects upended by the pandemic, that they also honored research that did get completed during such a difficult time. These funds will go to purchase precious books and research materials, and these are awards that will stand proudly on resumes as important achievements. We're honored to next year add yet another scholarship to our generous list, the Dr. Wendy Elliott Scholarship in Family History pertaining to California will soon be available. I also want to thank our wonderful students who challenge and inspire us. I speak on behalf of my colleagues when I say that I hope you know how much we enjoy working with you and are honored that you chose history as your course of study. This year, more than any other, was about cultivating community, connection, and engagement as we were all tied to our screens. On that front, I want to extend our appreciation and thanks to the student leaders from Phi Alpha Theta and the History Student Association, several of them are here, that you persisted and insisted on building community was so important this year. And as for our faculty and staff, one of the many reasons why this has been such a difficult year, as was mentioned earlier, is because we all lost a dear colleague, friend, and mentor in Nancy Fitch. And so I want to thank you all for keeping it all together and staying strong. You didn't just pivot to online, one of the most overused phrases of the year. You charged into it. I've never seen a team of people work so hard and care so much. So in final closing, it was such a treat to see you all today. But I'm sure you join me in looking forward to an in-person celebration when we host this event again. Thank you, and I wish you all good health. Now let's have one more round of congratulations to all.
All right. Goodbye, everybody. That's it.